Hello, and welcome to episode 9, I believe, of Where Creatives Connect. This is a complete experiment podcast because I'm doing it outside. I'm actually on Mount Victoria in Wellington in New Zealand. And this is my second or third solo podcast, which are going to go in between these interviews that I'm doing. And if you've not caught up so far, Where Creatives Connect is a podcast that interviews creative people from all different lines of work. Interviews them about their process, about their journey, and kind of about their philosophy on life and why they do what they do. I've learned so much so far, and if you haven't checked out the amazing guests I've had on, please do check them out. I wasn't really planning on doing this until I woke up today, but I really wanted to share something freeform with you that I've been thinking about a lot over the last week, but it's kind of been in my mind for about 10 years now, and it really shocked me when I realised that it has been 10 years that I've been thinking about said thing. And that's the overview effect. And if you're unfamiliar with what the overview effect is, the overview effect is the term given to when astronauts have gone into space and they look back on the Earth and they feel a real sense of change in their perspective on life, their perspective on their position in the world, how small they are in the world, and also, I guess, how small the Earth is in the whole universe. And something that I have always felt is that we don't just have to go up to space to feel this. Instead, I feel that there are many different things that we do in our life, little landmarks, generally as we age a little bit, but not always, that have a similar sort of effect similar to this overview effect. The first one that I ever felt was moving away from home, going to music college, and we don't all do this, but a lot of people move away around the ages of 18 to 20 from home for the first time for a long period of time. And it's quite often you'll have maybe 1, 2, 3 nights a week for the first few months where you realise, yep, I've actually moved away from home and I don't have the same people around me. And it can feel somewhat liberating, but also somewhat lonely. And this kind of teeters in your mind over the next, well, I guess on and off over the next 10 years, depending on where you move. Perhaps you move into a flat instead of halls of residence. Perhaps then you move out into your first job and that's not in the same city that you went to uni or you grew up in. And overall, you just end up building this kind of checking back in with yourself as to how far you've come. So that's the first time that I've ever kind of noticed this. The other time that I really notice this is every time I travel, and in particular, every time I travel to the place I am right now, which is New Zealand. I'm super lucky to have a reason to come out here, which is initially was for the National Youth Drama School of New Zealand, and I've been really lucky to been asked to come back for a number of years, and now I've got a whole host of wicked friends. I don't know why I said wicked, I don't normally use that word. Whole host of amazing friends that do the most amazing things, and I've been lucky enough to interview them for this podcast as well. So in season 2 you'll meet all of these people, well, some of these people. And when I'm just going to let this motorbike pass. Great. And when I am on a plane for essentially a day and a half, and this time around I travelled for about 48 hours because I had this big old layover in Dubai, which was amazing. I got to see a good friend Dante Kennedy at Q's bar in Dubai, but it was about 2 days of travelling. There's a lot of time to think about how small you are in the world and how insignificant you can be just on a plane in the sky travelling across this big globe. And then when I land here, there are so many things that feel super familiar and so many things that remind me of how different our cultures are. And that's a thing to be celebrated, not a thing to feel sad about or anything. But the reason why I wanted to talk about the overview effect is that I realised, as my good friend Ben Fagan and Sarah dropped me off at my hotel 2 days ago, I realised that I was on the same road that I was on 10 or 11 years prior. And I was staying 10 or 11 years ago with my friend Piera, and she walked us up to where she went to uni, and I sat in some of the lectures. Oops. probably shouldn't have done that, but it was quite fun and interesting. And I don't know, it shot back to me like it was yesterday, and I double checked on the map, and yes, it was that very, very steep hill. I probably remember it for its steepness. But those 10 years have just gone like that. And sometimes it takes travel or a change in perspective to actually remember how far you've come and what your place is on this globe. Just pause for some people. It's an amazingly privileged thing to be able to travel anywhere, but if you ever get the opportunity to do so, I thoroughly, thoroughly recommend it. Now, everything that I bring to this podcast has to have a link to creativity in some way, shape, or form. And for me, I always come away from New Zealand feeling thoroughly creatively inspired, and not just because I'm here to do artistic things. There's something about being in a culture that is not your own that heightens your senses. It allows you to hear different accents, hear different birds. Like, I know it sounds insignificant, but there are so many birds here that I don't hear in Manchester. And for me, that like pricks your ears up. It allows you to go, oh no, I am in a different place. When I was at Kelsey's house the other day, her partner Lyndon had these amazing plants, but I'd never actually seen leaves like that. And I know it sounds insignificant, but your brain really latches onto all of these different things and kind of, confirms, yes, you really are in a different place. When it comes to anything creative, quite often you'll hear about creative people being creatively stuck, or you'll hear about people lacking inspiration. And there's one really easy way of finding inspiration again, which is to travel, to go to a different place that heightens those senses, so you are literally inspired by new things. And it's not to say that you will like everything new in this different culture, but it gives you a chance to be, immersed in something that's completely new. For me as well, there's something really special about the people of New Zealand, which is their warmth towards you as a human. The amount of conversations I've had since I've been here that, I'll never see these people again, but they are interested in what I'm doing. They're interested in me as a person, and it is always in a positive light. And that does not happen everywhere in the world. I've been lucky enough to travel all over to lots of different places, but I would say actually, out of all the places I have travelled, New Zealand by far has the warmest, most welcoming people I have encountered. So if you ever get a chance to come here, I would recommend it. That's about all I've got to say. There are so many amazing documentaries and podcasts about the overview effect that go into it in a much more scientific way and a much more deep way. But if there's anything that you take away from this, I just thoroughly urge you to travel out of your comfort zone, potentially travel on your own. Yeah, maybe travel on your own. And the reason I say this, I was chatting to a friend about this recently. You go through a whole range of emotions that you wouldn't if you were in the safety net of other people. When you're on your own, you have to find your own way. And I mean that literally. Walking up Mount Vic, which I thought I did 10 or 11 years ago, I thought, yeah, I'll be okay. I'll do it without my sat nav, my phone, whatever. And I've got lost on the way up here. And again, it sounds a little bit insignificant, but there are moments of slight panic. And I'm looking over here and the sun is slightly going down, and I do need to make my way through a whole load of trees, which can be a little bit intimidating when you're on your own without a phone. So maybe take your phone if you are traveling somewhere. But traveling somewhere out of your comfort zone, traveling somewhere on your own, allowing yourself to get out of your space, honestly, is probably one of the healthiest things you can do if you're looking to be inspired creatively and just as a human being. I hope you found some value in that, because it is just a bit of a random rant, and I haven't scripted it. I'll be completely honest. In my hotel room, I went on ChatGPT. Is it GPT or GBT? I don't know. And I asked it to script this out for me, and I started to read it, and it just sounded so unnatural. If you're liking this slightly unusual podcast space, then hold on tight for season 2. I do have a couple of episodes left of season 1, but before long I'll have out a couple of episodes from Dubai, a bunch of episodes from New Zealand, and I can't wait for you to meet all these amazing, amazing people. Wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing, remember to create with people, connect with people, but most importantly, be exactly you. Until the next time, peace. I do apologise if this is incredibly windy. I completely forgot that Wellington is particularly well known for its wind. So if this is really, really windy, I might just release this as a YouTube video, because generally people seem to not mind if it's super windy on YouTube videos, but they do on podcasts because you might just be listening rather than watching. And therefore it's kind of pointless. Oh, I'm going down a slide. I've genuinely just stumbled upon a slide. This seems so ingenuine, but I promise it's true. Look at this. Now this is going to go one of two ways. I hope it's a better one. Oh my god. Jesus. If I break my leg. Oh my god. There we go. Until the next time, peace.